check something here. So if I was to go to greetings all. I'm just checking something. I don't know if it will work. Don't know. I'll have to look into that more. We'll go over the Chibi stuff because I'll talk about it briefly, but I don't want to talk about it too much because most of it's already been kind of dealt with. But I'll kind of give my thoughts over recent developments. And then from there, we'll talk about some interesting translation drama. And then we'll go from there. Have I seen the something trailer? Let me check. No. I have not seen that trailer. Suggestion: the stream bitrate is higher than recommended bitrate. We recommend that you stream at... Oh, why am I getting more stupid messages? That you stream at kilobytes. Well, how do I change that, YouTube? Not like you're gonna ever tell me, YouTube. No, you won't. Why? Because you're annoying. That's why, YouTube. YouTube's complaining because apparently my bit rate's too high. Ooh, YouTube was being special. Why is there an echo? Is there? Tell me if there's still an echo. Because if there's still an echo, I did just take my PC apart like several hours ago, and I switched out the power supply. I don't think actually the power supply was ever the problem. I think the reason why I was having problems was because I was using Okay, there's no echo. Okay, good. Because I was panicking because there's some settings I had to fix up before. Because I took apart my PC, took out the power supply, put a new power supply in, because I thought the reason why I was getting black screens and the fan, because I was looking at the fan and I was over panicking. But I don't think the power supply was ever the problem. But now I've got a new power supply, so now I have a spare power supply. So I might just give it to my friend who wants to get a new PC at some point and be like, okay, here you have a spare power supply. But I think the problem was, because my friend was having it as well, and we were talking about it in the car yesterday. I think it's due to wallpaper engine, and I have wallpaper engine and I'll play something like Nikke in like partial screen, and it would go black screen. But when I had WoW in full screen, it wouldn't do it. As soon as I went to Nikke, it black screened on me. So I think it was Wallpaper Engine, which I just turned off permanently for the time being. So I think that was the issue. Because I did ask Grok. I was like, is black screen a problem for people with Wallpaper Engine? I was like, well, actually, yes, it is. And I was like, well, that's great. Screw you. So I don't think it was the power supply. Because weirdly enough, I don't think it was the power supply. Because weirdly enough, my graphics card barely ever turns its fans on. Which seems weird. But I think there's so many fans everywhere around it. There are 7 glowy fans, not counting the CPU fan. And then the graphics card has 3 fans on top of it. So there's a lot of air circulation that keeps it cool. And when I turned it off, I put my hand actually on the graphics card. Didn't even feel warm. It was just like generally just like normal temperature. So I don't think it was the power supply. But I also thought it was the power supply because the graphics card would turn on and then turn off and then turn off. But I think it was just because it doesn't really heat much. Like, it's not even on right now. So I don't think it is the graphics card. But, and is it a spare power supply? So. But yeah. What was I going to do? I lost my train of thought. I go off the rails way too frequently. Mine has 4 fans and has... I mean, yeah, I have 3 fans on the bottom. I have 3 fans on the side. And I have 1 fan at the back. And then I just have the normal CPU fan. And then the graphics card itself has 3 fans. And I've got like 7 glowy fans, and they all just like push air in like every different direction, down, out, and I think just kind of like sucks and blows cool air through it. So it keeps cool pretty well. I think it was just Wallpaper Engine was screwing around with something called the codecs, so I just turned it off. I don't want it to screw up while I'm doing stuff. The Chibi thing, a little bit, yeah. But as far as the Chibi drama goes, there isn't really a lot of tweets. There really isn't a lot of tweets going over a lot of like new development really that's worth really nitpicking about, other than the fact that Chibi tweeted. I mean, I've noticed Chibi's not tweeting as much about it, so I think that's probably a good thing. But his recent tweet was pretty much this, like 17 hours ago. That's what I saw when I woke up. And I was kind of surprised. A lot of people are trying to claim it's a nothing burger. I just generally think that this is just like, it's gone to the point of like no return. Right, where it's just people just being really stupid and irresponsible. Get it now because CPU prices are about to shoot up. Oh yeah, CPU. I mean, I remember when graphics card prices went really high during the whole Bitcoin situation. And now RAM prices went up. They're slowly starting to go down. But just PC parts are all over the place. Add sponsors to stream. I'd have to accept sponsors. I mean, here's the thing, right? The way I look at this whole Chibi situation is in several ways. Because some people are saying Chibi shouldn't talk about it, he should just keep quiet, go to the authorities, which he has gone to the authorities. But at the same time, there are 2 ways you look at it. You either A, you talk about it and people will complain, right? They're like, oh yeah, he's drawing attention, he's just doing it for attention. But if you generally really hate the person, right, and you don't want to give them more attention, then doing this is anti-productive to you trying to not give him attention, right? So Green Reddit doing this is just stupid. It goes against the very things that they're trying to claim, that, oh yeah, he's just doing this for attention, oh, we don't like him. Okay, well then don't give him attention, right? Don't give him attention. But they do, because they want attention. And I think that's the reality, is I think it's an ecosystem of Chibi's lashing out at them at frustration and he's getting angry at them. And then you've got them desperately looking for attention because they're just wanting to be in the spotlight. So they're like, oh, look at us, we're special, we're going after Chibi, we want to destroy him. And then Chibi's getting angry and going, well, I'm going to monetize this and make money out of it, and that will spite them, right? They'll be really angry if I spite them and make money out of it. And then they go, well, now I'm angry because, oh, you've made money out of us trying to go after you. Well, now we're going to lash out even more. And so it's a constant escalation. And I think the person that runs Kiwi Farms is just generally an idiot. Apparently his name's Josh. Some people in my other stream did some comments pointing out some things, not necessarily correcting, but just giving me some information about his past and who he is and all the rest, and the Shotacon stuff, the Discord stuff, like a bunch of different pieces of information. And what I thought was interesting is that the guy, I think the funniest thing about this Josh guy is he really thinks he's an edgelord. Like, he really wants you to know that he's an edgelord, that he's really tough and he's really amazing, and oh, he's so funny, and oh, we're a free speech. But the dude blocks people over the most simplest criticisms. Like, this guy really wants to paint himself as some internet tough guy, and then he folds over the most watered down, like, call-outs ever. So I'm just like, okay, this guy just sounds like a wannabe edgelord. So, as much as I understand why some people are saying Chibi shouldn't give any attention to these people, I feel like if Chibi doesn't give attention to them, they start to see that as a victory, because the end objective for these people that hate Chibi is to not call him out. They just want him to stop making content, right? So they're not going to stop attacking him until he stops making content. That's what they want him off the internet. So I just don't think it ever really stops. But at the same time, the more attention Chibi gives to it, naturally the more these people are going to see that as, oh, look, I'm getting more attention and I'm going to continuously utilize that as a way of, you know, feeding my own ego and going after him more. So I feel like that's exactly what they want. So I can understand why some people are saying don't give them attention, right? That also being said, are they even going to stop even if he stops giving them attention? And also, it's like Chibi's lashing out at them. Is Chibi in trouble? No. He's not, like, in right now he's not in trouble, but in the sense of things. But I think he just needs to keep a watchful eye on it. Keep his head down in the sense of giving them more. I mean, I just think he needs to ignore them as best as possible. I do think he needs to try and ignore them, because I think the more attention he gives to them, the more it fuels them. I think if Chibi just focuses on making content, making tweets, and just doing his own thing, but it is also concerning that, yeah, they continuously escalate it. That being said, I think Chibi needs to make sure he documents everything and goes to the authorities and continuously gives them all the information to present and say, hey, this is a continuously escalating situation. At least if he needs to take legal actions, he has that GoFundMe money, right? That also being said, I think he needs to tell his audience, I will use that money when necessary to deal with this situation, and just be transparent with his audience, so that way there's that ammunition there to say, hey, you know, I've got the funds, I've still got it saved, and I'm going to use it for this reason, but I'm going to keep it ready for when things escalate, or that if they do escalate, and then just keep documenting things. But I do think in some part, every time he makes a tweet about it, it is just giving his haters more fuel to use against him. At the same time, I do feel like Chibi is lashing out out of frustration and anger and just wanting to be left alone. So I think there's kind of like this constant escalation and constant arms war going on between them. I don't blame Chibi for lashing out and getting angry. He's irritated. He wants to be left alone. That also being said, does it also fuel them? And so I feel like that's where you've got to look at that. I remember when I was 13 and saved money for a year to buy the latest NVIDIA GPU card. I felt so amazing. If I had bought stock shares instead, that money today, I would be a multi-millionaire. Trust me, techno Viking guy. If I bought shares in some companies many years ago, I would be so goddamn rich. It's the foresight of knowing, what to invest in. So, I think as far as the Chibi drama goes, I think if he just stays quiet on the whole situation for the time being, I think that would be the smartest move. My cat is really annoying me, which is really irritating because she just got fed. And so she's just like, oh no, I'm going to irritate you again because I want to be more annoying. She probably wants to go for a poop. And my cat has this situation where every time she wants to go for a poop, she needs me to know that she needs to go for a poop. Even though she's capable of going outside, going to the kid litter tray, going out in the yard and doing it herself, it's all accessible. She needs to remind me that she needs to go to the poop. So she'll bug me until she decides to go do her thing. The other thing though too, also, I was looking at this and there was a lot of complaints about this. I don't know how I feel about this completely when it comes to the dub versus the sub, because it goes with the top panel. Just let him copy feel of these tits and he'll be head over heels for you, which sounds like a very good basic translation. And then the dub is, let him honk those honkers and he'll be gooning over the moon for you. I feel like the dub really overdoes it. Is this a dog? No, I've got a cat, not a dog. Maybe I should get a dog zapper. Get a shock collar. I hear his son knows some really good brands. No, I wouldn't shock my cat. Put her in the oven. Well, she's not fat anymore. But as far as this dub versus sub goes, the big booby lady, which big booby lady are we talking about? There's a lot of big booby ladies. But I feel like the dub, as much as I let him honk those honkers, I get the comedian aspect to that. But this being said, and he'll be gooning over the moon for you, I don't really like using the word gooning here. I just feel like it's a really bad translation of the word gooning. Dubs really tend to over it. Yeah. I think the biggest problem with this is I don't really like how it goes over the top when this is still good. This is good enough, right? But it's contextual to what it is of making him fall head over heels. This is more a romantic sense of he'll be in love with you. This one's just like gooning. It feels more like it's watering down the romance aspect and turning it in more to a hormonal component, which I get, but it just feels, I don't know, it feels pointless. Gooning generally says, I just don't like the way it uses the word gooning. Like the first part, I'm like, okay, let him honk those honkers. I'm like, okay, that feels fine in the sense the context of like cop a feel. They're trying to put a more comedian aspect of copping a feel, but the gooning part feels like it's overdoing it. It doesn't feel necessary. It really should just stick to what the sub is there. And then then you move on to the next one. Men are meant to be gorged on in bulk. This dub actually at the bottom part should not be of change because it gives context to who she is and what she's meant to be doing. Right, the whole sort of succubus kind of mindset of being like, you find a guy, you win them over, you get them to fall for you, you devour them, and then you move on to the next target. With this one, I don't know, the sub actually sounds much more colourful with its wording, while the dub here just dumbs it down. It's like it overdoes it in the first line, and then it dumbs it down in the next line. That doesn't really make any sense to me. It feels like the first part adds unnecessary jargon that doesn't really fit the context of what's been talked about. And then in the second graph, it dumbs it down. It dumbs it down. It just, to me, it's kind of stupid. What's the other one here? Dub, would you quit using ancient slang? And then the bottom one is quit talking like some popular kid. That completely changes the context of the conversation to me. Like, why change the context? Why change the context? I do just want to check something, actually, with Packagirl, because she always complains that she's getting shadow banned. And I just want to check something on a different screen. I want to see if she's still shadow banned. Okay, she's not shadow banned anymore, so she shouldn't be complaining anymore that she's shadow banned. Because she is not actually shadow banned. I just wanted to check that. Because she's always complaining on Twitter that she's shadow banned, and I keep telling her not to spam all of her tweets, because what she would do is she would grab a tweet and then reshare it a million times, and I think it flagged her as spam too much. But with this here, the sub is just, why change the context? If we go to the dub here, trouble bouncing into town in form of Triple H cups. Well, here's trouble, to put it lightly. It just... Oh man, I gotta get a piece of this man meat. I gotta get me a taste. See, that sounds much more simpler, but it also sounds like, yeah, she wants a taste of him. But the man meat, he just... It's so unnecessary. The 1,000-year-old virgin finally has a boyfriend. In a 1,000-year-old virgin finally gonna pop her cherry. See, again, it's... I don't know, it's unnecessary. Who the boob girl lady is? It's from a series called Mistress Kana is the Devilish Easy. I'm just trying... I'll find it on the AniList thing. Well, not AniList, live charts. It is this one. It's this. Why can't you say... Because that's a naughty word. You're not allowed to say the PP word. The dub seems like it wants to over-explain things because it thinks English-speaking audience are stupid. I agree. I think it tries to over-explain things, and it kind of loses a bit of its comedy, I feel like, in these situations. Because it's just like, again, it's just like, I gotta get me a taste, and instead it's, oh man, I gotta get a piece of this man meat. Like, I get that it's probably trying to add more comedy to it, but I feel like by over-explaining a joke sometimes, by trying to be too funny, you end up not being funny. It's like a try hard, right? And that's what it feels like a lot of these voice actors do when they do these translations in dub, is they're trying too hard to be funny to the point where they just end up not being funny in the end. It reminds me of High School DxD dub, which, by the way, I just saw a tweet praising the High School DxD dub, and then someone pointed out that the original Issei dub voice actor was apparently a predator, allegedly, based on things been said. But one of the things that I hate about the High School DxD dub is they add unnecessary slang and jargon in it. Like, for example, they'll be like, oh, the Tide Pod reference. right? So to me, what I don't like is when they add unnecessary modern day lingo. Like the word gooning to me is like, okay, sure, we use that word currently right now, but it's like you give it a couple of years, that word's not going to really mean anything. For the current time, sure. But I don't know. I don't like how they've changed it to this. Let him honk those honkers and he'll be gooning over the moon for you. It's trying too hard, but it also it kind of changes the context of what's been like head over heels for you. It feels like the comedy is in what's going on between them, the interactions, and instead it's trying too hard to throw in a cheap punchline. Slang ages like milk? Yeah, it does. I just feel like the slang, it just kind of, yeah. Spill the deets, spill the tea, girly. Spill the deets sounds better than spill the tea, girly. It's trying too hard to be funny, and it comes off dry. She's a total noob. Oh my god. A preschooler in romance. Oh, why are you using the word noob? No. 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 Don't use... That's such a... God, they're using terminologies that are so outdated. I mean, a lot of people still... Well, actually, very few people use the word noob these days. The word noob was a big word back in the old MMO days, and I think some people still somewhat use it. But not that much. It's not that much. This feels like someone that who the fuck uses noob in 2026? Very few people use the word noob in this day and age, right? This feels like whoever did the dub for this is clearly older and is trying to be hipster. I'd say whoever this is probably in their like mid 30s, maybe late 30s. Because they're really trying hard to use very specific lingo that feels kind of very outdated. Because it's like preschooler in romance, question mark, and then instead the dub is she's a total noob. It's trying so hard to be funny that it just feels cringe. Some of it's like, okay, maybe it's not too bad, like some of the lines, but it's like, I'd say like 70 to 80% of the lines just feel too try hard. It's trying way too hard. Reading this makes me feel like it ran into ChatGPT. I'd say whoever did the translations is probably in their mid to late 30s. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Dub localizers writers are in a midlife crisis. I would agree. Because the dub there just feels like someone that's honestly, in my opinion, it feels like they're in the mid to late 30s. It just feels like they're in their mid to late 30s. Hey, Spiritu, completely unrelated question. What's your thoughts on having gay or lesbian topics on shows or movies for all audiences? I think people over-exaggerate a lot of being a bad thing. I have no problem with like lesbian or gay characters or bi characters at all. As long as it fits the story, as long as it feels like a good story, and that's fine, right? Yuri characters, all that kind of stuff. I don't see an issue with those kinds of stories. My biggest issue is when it's forced, right? When something feels very forced, like they're having to force a gay or a lesbian character into a story or as a topic in a story to try and add the whole inclusivity shit. I feel it's more insulting, and I know a lot of like gay and lesbian people that feel the same way as me, and they're getting irritated at it because there was a discussion I had a couple of years ago with someone that is in fact bi, and they said to me they hate when they make characters gay just for the sake of making them gay, and it feels forced because it feels like they're watering down and making gay characters feel one-dimensional. And it was also kind of a funny topic because there was the whole idea of like, oh, you can't make gay villains, and I'm like, no, you can do gay villains, and sometimes gay villains are really good. But people are too scared to do that because, oh no, it makes gay people look bad. It's just like, and that feels insulting to some gay people because they're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there's like a gay villain? And it's like, it feels like everything's just walking on eggshells to the point where these people are just too scared to write good stories because they're too busy trying to make everything politically correct so nothing can be good because that's their main objective. Their objective isn't to make a good story, it's to make things politically correct. And not offend someone. And if your entire objective is to be politically correct and not offend people, then you're not going to make a good story. Right? You're not going to make a good story. So it's already a failing process. All I care about is it a good story, yes or no? And that's it. I don't care about all the rainbow flag stuff. I just dislike how forced it is, and I feel like it's an insult to actual gay, lesbian, and bi people because I feel like they're being used as nothing more than a trend prop to gain attention for people that just want to pretend and laugh. And because I've met a couple of people that will claim that they're like bi, right? And they'll say, oh yeah, I'm into guys and girls. And I remember I met a guy that claimed that he was into both guys and girls. And he never dated a dude. He only ever dated chicks, but claimed that he was bi. And I'm like, bro, you are not bi. Like, it's like, have you ever dated a guy? And it's like, oh, no, I haven't found any guys that I'm interested in. It's like, okay, you're just straight, pretending to be bi. So, I am debating on something fun. I got something yesterday. Friend bought me one packet and then I bought the box. So I was like, but I'm tempted to open it. Kind of want to open on stream. That's what I wanted to do for this stream. I just wanted to briefly go over some topics. Go over some topics and then unbox these or open these up. So, one of the things I actually kind of wanted to do for fun was do like Max Mofo style videos where it was like I'd like unbox these and that kind of stuff. It'd be really cool. I mean, I could record it while streaming it and then upload it as a separate video and then do a door intro and everything. But it's one of those where I would like to. Have you read the Nikke chapter 45? I've done the first chapter that just released. I haven't gotten through the second chapter yet. I don't know if that is the second chapter you're asking about or if it's the first one. But I've done the first one that released. Yeah. What is Nikke? It is a game about butts. It's a game about butts. Robotic chicks with big butts. So yeah, we should totally open these. Oh, but that means can we do... I just want to see if... I just want to be careful because I don't know if this will work. Okay. I've not done this before. I should have thought about this before I actually started this. Gotta be careful because if I knock the bloody camera again, because I've got it plugged in the back this time, I might end up knocking it and I don't want to knock it. There we go. Because we could do this. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go with that. and then shrink it. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I was going to like open them and then use this camera, but I don't really have a good camera. So I was like, okay, this might not actually really work. Because it's going to be like, oh, look, I unboxed it, but it's too dark. So I'm thinking that might not be the best option. Might be better just to open them normally and just show them as I unopen them. Oh, might be the better option. Someone's spoiling Nikke's spoilers here. On sorry for the spoilers chat. Please don't read if you have not. In the mid 20 minutes. I mean, you can vent about Uritards. I called out Uritards the other day, and they got like upset at me because there's like someone trying to claim We have that problem with the Nikke community, right? We have people that constantly keep claiming all the girls are all like into each other romantically, and it's like, dude, literally all these chicks want to sleep with the main commander. It's like, isn't every Genshin straight because it's in China? I mean, pretty much. Sorry for the spoil chats, don't read if you don't. I hate that 6-0 plot and how incomplete the commander and got so many. I think the reason why they killed off a bunch of characters is because they want to bring in new characters. Can't switch it's more just annoying. That's not a good quality camera, it's an older quality camera. So, but we'll do it here. We'll show it. Let's put them like that. But yeah, I've never opened these types before. What do we got? Does it work better if I just turn the lights off? Almost kind of does look better. Glows too... It's too shiny. Right? I don't know. To be honest, it really feels like it just looks better if you just... I need a better light that doesn't radiate... Oh, you know what? Might have an idea. I was going to use the screen to be white. Shift focus? Yeah, you're telling me. There we go, that's a bit better. There we go. It's not so much shit, it just takes a bit of time for it to focus. It's because it's trying to focus on me. So it takes a little bit, there we go, it's focusing. See if it actually focuses, but yeah. I don't know. it doesn't seem like it's very good quality to kind of... I just want to experiment if I can open them and actually kind of like show them and be like, oh yeah, look at these cards and stuff. Otherwise, I just do it off stream and just kind of show them afterwards. But once we've done these cards, I was going to go over a Monta Sensei video as well. Is it just for collection or there's a game? I mean, there is a game, but I get it for the collection. Be a cute girl for the camera. Me or someone else? What do we got? Oh! I did also do the ancestral thing too. Unless you kidnap someone. Well, ooh. Okay, that's pretty cool. I got a niece. Oh, Harmful Opinion made a video on Chibi too. If you, I might actually look that up then. I might go over that instead. We'll have a look. How many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 12 in total. Didn't really look at the box, but you know. Me look at box. Is it the first card on... Oh, the first pack that I had was given to me by a friend, and then I bought the box. So I was like, oh yeah, you know. Put it over there. Okay, what do we got? Ooh, got Red Hood. It really doesn't want to focus. If it focuses, I might be able to move the cards. Got that again. So that's cool. I will put those in there for safekeeping. But yeah, I might go over that video then. If Harmful Opinion has made that, I might go over it. Because I have a sneaking suspicion. I mean, if I pull it up now, right? I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be a pretty jaded video where he probably cherry picks his information. Yeah, Reckless Doxer, Chibi review is extremely dangerous. Oh god, that's going to be peak hypocrisy. I just want to check something. Okay. Yeah, I'll go over it. It's only 6 minutes long, so I have this sneaking suspicion it's gonna be absolute just double standards hypocrisy. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, you can make the popcorn first, because I'll do these unpackings, and then we'll go over that video, because I am curious, actually, what he has to say over it. because I mean, if you remember his leaflet video, I mean, dude just felt like he was crashing out because no one gave his friend didn't get any attention from the Nux video. Because if you remember the leaflet drama, basically it all started because I think it was Nikke something, or like some guy, I forget what his channel's full name is, but he basically made a video on Nux, and the video just didn't really land. Like, it just felt very sloppy. Like, a lot of the points didn't really drive home. It felt like a lot of double standards. And so he basically crashed out and then went to Leaflet and was like, oh, well, you and Nux are friends. Why don't you react to this? And Leaflet was just kind of like, well, actually, I'm not actually really friends with Nux. We just talked once. Why are you dragging me into this? And he's like, oh, well, you have to react to it. So he tried to pressure her into reacting to it. And because of it, she ended up just getting stubborn and going, well, no, I'm just not going to react to it because you're trying to force me to react to it. And so he was trying to use it as leverage of being like, well, you're clearly scared, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I was going to react to it before you asked, but now that you're pestering me, I'm just not going to react to it because it's very obvious you just want the attention. And so he cracked the shits about it. Then Harmful Opinion jumped on the whole drama. Was like, oh, we need to find dirt on her because she wouldn't react to a video that my friend needed to so that we could farm clout. And it's like, okay, this just feels like clout chasing, less about actually caring about anything meaningful. Why did Nux move to politics? Probably because it's profitable. Again, if you don't like his political opinions, that's fine. But I'm just stating the fact that, again, the video just didn't land very well. And I've got my own personal issues with Nux as far as a content creator goes, but he pivoted to politics and people like it. So, I don't know. People are stupid. Okay, did we get anything good? There's some doubles in here. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll throw that at the back. It's never going to focus, is it? Big issue with Nux because Hype pivoted to react slop in politics. I mean, yeah, he pivoted very hard. Right? Again, you don't have to like Nux. Wait. Was Chibi trying to force Leaflet to watch Nux? No. There was a video done by some other guy that was going after Nux, and he tried to force Leaflet to watch the video on his own content, and Leaflet wouldn't cover it because she just didn't like being peer pressured. So she ended up basically not reacting to it. He cracked the shits. Harmful Opinion decided to jump on her because, oh no, my friend's not getting clout, so I'm now going to also jump on that for clout. And it just turned into a giant, like, cesspit. That's a shiny one. It was just basically a bunch of dudes mad that they couldn't farm some clout out of Leaflet. That's how it felt to me. They just felt like clout chasers. And I get that, right? But Harmful Opinion kind of, like, contradicts himself a lot in videos. He kind of cherry picks what he wants. He also gets trolled very easily and then gets upset that he gets trolled by people. So, I don't know. Dude just sounds like an edgelord trying to be one, but failing miserably. But he also just likes calling people the P word just because he doesn't like them. Like, he'll have no proof of anything, but he'll kind of just insinuate that you're something because he doesn't like you. Dorothea, worst character ever. What's that one? Well, that's another double. That's kind of cool. I can't really see what that is. I'd have to turn on the lights, but it looks cool. I just find the whole drama with them, like Harmful Opinion and all those, I just feel like they try too hard to be like these, like, they want to paint themselves as heroes. And I feel like they'd sound more genuine if they weren't so desperate in their approach. That's another double. I'm expecting a lot of doubles. The blue lolly is more harmful by existing. Yeah. I don't think it was just Leafer. He wanted others to react to it. It was very obvious that the guy that made the Nux Taku video just wanted Leaflet to react to it so that he could get attention from it. I think he was just butthurt because his video didn't really land as well as he had hoped, and no one really gave a shit. Because again, as much as you can have criticism towards Nux, he's clearly got an audience that's willing to defend. But also the video just didn't really feel like it just didn't feel very well articulated. Like, there's a lot of things to criticize Nux for. Like, don't get me wrong, right? There is a lot of things you can criticize Nux for. But the video itself did not land. I watched it twice, actually. I watched it with someone else on stream, and then I watched it on my own. And every time I watch it, I just felt like there were points that would have landed more if it didn't feel like the delivery was so badly done. And I think, again, if the actual video went over mostly Nux's hypocrisies when it comes to lolly-based content, anime-based content, goonie-based content, and also his pivot into politics and his sudden shift against, like, certain other content creators, and how he's now befriended a bunch of content creators that also have a history of doing the same type of stuff, I think the video would have landed a lot better. Because again, like I said, I have my issues with Nux Taku and some of the stuff that he's said and done. I think there's definitely a lot of room for criticism. But my biggest issue is that the video that the dude made just didn't land. It did not land at all. So but I have a feeling when I go over this Chibi video, it's going to cherry pick a lot of information because, again, it's generally the MO for harmful opinion. He kind of wants to look at the perspective that works best for him. Oh no, a lolly, be scared. Is that a shiny one? Oh, it is too. That's not bad. That's another double. There's apparently a second wave of these coming out too. That's a shiny too. There you go, a shiny. Another one. Another one. My friend also got a box of these as well, so we'll probably be seeing what we have. That's those 6. Might as well go over the rest of them. And then, like I said, we will go over that video now. We'll go over that video, and then that will be basically the stream. But, like I said, I feel like the Nux Taku criticism video just would have landed if it just was better articulated. But again, the thing about a lot of those content creators is it's a very competitive market now. So a lot of them are really, really trying to work together and click together to try and attack other content creators because that's how they build their career. Destroy another content creator will basically lead you into gaining massive growth. So naturally, it's very profitable to try and destroy other people. That's a nice one. You would be a good PR manager? Me? I mean, again, I just try to break things down in a more logical sense, right? I just feel like a lot of content creators don't think things through, right? And I think they're all just as bad as each other. And when I look at it, I try to be more balanced. I try to be as unbiased as possible. But I also don't let my favoritism for people try to cloud my judgment. So there are some good Nikke 1/7 scale figures coming out. So there are some good ones out now too. I kind of want some. If I could maybe grind some YouTube videos, maybe I could get some money and go buy some. We could do some unboxing videos. I feel like unboxing videos do better on this channel because I've got more lighting and I could probably use the lighting and do the unboxings and stuff, but I wanted to just try this and see how this works. Ooh, I made. I'll end up getting a case for them all, a card case, and I'll store them somewhere. Because there is a second volume of this series, all these cards coming out. So... that's as good as the butt you're going to get before YouTube comes after me. YouTube, getting angry. Oh, you have a swimsuit wrappy? I want a couple good ones. Oh, they're all doubles. That's another double. Oh, that's the only really unique one out of them all. I think that's the only... This is where I start to run into doubles. Ooh, got a niece. Well, that's a good one. That's cool. You know what? I'm just sifting through them real quick because there's heaps of doubles. What do we got? That's alright. That's alright. That's alright. Ooh! Cool. Ah! We sifted through all the doubles. It's the last group. Maids are great. I love maids. Oh my god! There we go. Focus, focus, focus. If I do it on an angle, you get the light, but not the shine. If it focuses, oh my god! There we go. That one's cool. Oh my god! Hadn't had an anise for a while, like another one. I also do know for a fact Harmful Opinion and all those have spoken about me, because I know they don't like me, because, you know, if you criticize them, they take it very well, which, I mean, I don't blame them, you know. They clearly want well, I mean, I don't really think any flattery of them myself. I think they're generally very hypocritical people, narcissistic as well, but, you know, they're free to think whatever they want, and I'm free to think whatever. There's another Dorothea. That's a good one too. That's the assassin chick. There's another anise. That's just shiny ones. It's kind of glowy a little bit. And that's all of them. That is all of them. I'll leave that there. I will fold that up and I will clean that mess afterwards because I got all the bloody packaging there. So, move that to the wrong screen. Right, move that back over. Move that here. I will just quickly sort out the cat because that cat is going to drive me up a wall if I don't sort her out. So I'll be back in a sec. Come on. Let's make sure that is there. So there we go. Oh, you wanted to see more? Well, that was all of them. There was a bunch of doubles that I flipped off, so you didn't see more than doubles, but there's meant to be a second volume for these coming out at some point, so I'll probably get the second volume as well. But if I was to buy another box of this volume, I'll end up getting all the double, like the non-shinies again. So then what I would have to do is I'd have to sift through all the shinies or all the rarer ones and then work out which ones I don't and then just show them on stream. So that would be the only way I'd go about it. I am going to a convention at some point in the coming weeks, so I might find another box of these and I might get one. But if I do that, I'll open them all, I'll sort them all out, and then maybe I'll show them off on stream. But I want to see what Harmful Opinion has to say about the whole situation, and then we'll, yeah, I'd be curious.
Today, we're going to talk about doxing, specifically about a very basic ethical concept. Let's say you think it's justified and important. Fine, whatever, there are several scenarios. But then you must either go all the way, fully confirm the docs, and make your post unambiguous, or stop, don't do it. If you don't understand why, this video is for you, and hopefully I will also undo some of the damage that Chibi Reviews has already done. On April 24th, I warned Chibi that his behavior is dangerous not only to himself, and suggested that perhaps the people he's upset aren't speaking out, aren't doing so because they can see that as well.
You should start taking things seriously instead of playing games. Providing a scapegoat for the people actually doing it to blame one of the sites. It's being discussed on it, insanely unwise. Not my business, of course, but felt compelled to dip in at least once in a case you don't understand. Like, if you generally are confused, it's only right to warn you what you're doing. If you do understand, then I don't know. I guess I'll watch. On one more thing before I stop touching you because you are radioactive. I saw your theories as to why more peers aren't speaking up for you. I suspect this might be here. May explain it better than any of your thoughts in that video. I don't know, really. Can you raise the volume a bit? Sure.
Specifically, I warned him that he is signaling that he can be used as an attack vector. The way he responds to things with his
I might just quickly turn off the music in the background. Just real quick, because that probably doesn't help. And then there we go.
retarded flailing means other people can use him like a one-man Kiwi farm.
I find that tweet kind of really weird. It's like he's trying to say something, but he's not trying to say something. I just want to point that out. Like, he's saying a lot of things, but he's not saying a lot of things. I don't really get what he's trying to say here. Like, what? If you're going to articulate yourself, at least say something more useful than this. I don't know. I just felt like this is like the equivalent of saying, yeah, don't do it, and then saying, but I'm being really technical here.
More specifically, I warned him that he is signaling that he can be used as an attack vector. The way he responds to things with his retarded flailing means other people can use him like a one-man Kiwi farms. They submit a post to him and he shows it to a massive audience. Worse,
unless what he's trying to say is that by giving them attention, which is what they want, right, it gives them the attention that they so desperately crave, right? Because generally speaking, a lot of people will probably ignore them. Video volume is still low. I don't know how much higher I can put it because it's in the yellow mark. Unless you've got me in general very low, because based on my volume, my volume's quite high, actually. I'm quite loud, actually. Let me see if I can bounce it a little bit more. There we go. I kind of lowered myself a little bit there.
Worse than Kiwi farms, really, because with him, a large level of exposure is guaranteed every time. And more than that, whereas a site like Kiwi farms has rules against organizing and doing things to the people featured, Chibi Reviews has spent the past several days encouraging his audience to escalate. Chibi explains,
I would not say he's encouraging his audience to escalate. What do you mean by he's encouraging his audience to escalate, right? Without getting distracted from chat. I mean, unless his tweet here is specifically talking about giving attention to Kiwi farms is a net negative because it gives them the attentions they so desperately crave, right? Which, okay, I could agree with that. But I feel like how he's worded it here is very poorly worded. It's like you're trying to say something, but you're not. You're vague posting too hard. But at the same time, you're like directly addressing.
signaling that he can be used as an attack vector. The way he responds to things with his retarded flailing means other people can use him like a one-man Kiwi farms. They submit a post to him and he shows it to a massive audience.
Okay, I think I get what he's trying to say, but the tweet here does not do it justice. He's basically saying that they're using him to promote Kiwi farms, but I don't really quite agree because Chibi's only talking about himself. It's not like he's promoting everything else on the platform. So it's a little bit... I get what you're trying to say, but no. I think you're trying to use the whole idea of, oh, Chibi's promoting everything from Kiwi farms, but he's not, and you know that. So I don't know why he's worded it like that. It's a bit of a disingenuous way of wording. Now, has Chibi given attention that maybe he shouldn't give to Kiwi farms? We could argue that, right? Your voice is back to normal. I might have had my volume too high. So I've lowered my volume just a little bit and then moved the sound thing. Harmful has always been a straight shooter, was the guy who called out Candid, which the producer to a lot of comments censorship. I mean, again, here, it feels like he's over-exaggerating, like the whole idea of, well, Chibi's become a one-man Kiwi farms where they post something and everything goes to everyone. It's not. Sure, Chibi is bringing more attention to the part of Kiwi farms that's talking about him specifically and giving them attention, right? But it's not signal boosting the entire platform, other than maybe it might draw more attention to people using the platform that normally wouldn't use the platform. But I don't really think that's probably the case. So I feel like this is an over-exaggeration. Glad to see more people paying attention to him. I wouldn't really sit there and say I'm Harmful Opinion's biggest fan, bro.
Worse than Kiwi Farms, really, because with him, a large level of exposure is guaranteed every time. And more than that, whereas a site like Kiwi Farms has rules against organizing and doing things to the people featured, Chibi Reviews has spent the past several days encouraging his audience to escalate. Chibi explicitly...
I don't agree with that. I don't think Chibi has encouraged anyone to escalate. I mean, give me a specific example where Chibi has told people, hey, do this, right? Give me a specific example. This, again, you're doing it twice in a row. You're over-exaggerating things and trying to paint things in a way that doesn't seem... It's almost like a straw man, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, chat. But it just feels like he's over-exaggerating. Like, oh, he's telling his audience to do things. Okay, where? Tell me where.
He claims that this is his advice to his audience.
Important notice, don't throw stones at people wanting you dead. Nah, if they're gonna low blow you, you return it back 120% given the chance. That's his opinion on how he would deal with things, right? Sure, you could argue that he's given advice on how to deal with things, but that's a very generalized statement of, right, you know, if people push you around, you push back. But I wouldn't say that's him directly saying, hey, audience, go do X thing for me. You've kind of framed it as if he's saying that, but then going to this, it's more of a Chibi's giving his view on why he's dealing with it the way that he does. I'd say, yeah, sure, you have the right to criticize how he's approaching it, but you're not framing it like that. You're framing it like Chibi's trying to radicalize an audience and telling them and giving them pitchforks. That's what you're saying is not what Chibi's doing. And I think you know that. I think you're just being deliberately deceptive to try and paint it so that your audience being dumb enough to go along with that narrative. Having rigid pacifism only crumbles into bloodstains on the dirt. The only victory you achieve is being a coward while suffering alone.
Don't throw stones at people wanting you dead. Nah, if they're gonna low blow you, you return it back 120%.
I notice he's trying to emphasize that.
20% given the chance. Having rigid pacifism only crumbles into bloodstains on the dirt. The only victory you achieve is being a coward while suffering alone. Yes, Chibi explicitly condemned not being violent, in the context of talking about people who want him dead. Yeah, based, you might think. Hold your horses a second. 10 hours ago, at the time of recording...
Yes, but you just said there that he's directly trying to tell his audience what to do. That's not really quite true. You've misframed it. You've mischaracterized it. So to start with, your first tweet is you trying to say something which feels like a very vague, pointless tweet. And then you've just kind of insinuated he's done something that he's not. It's not a call to action. He's implying that it's a call to action. And all it is Chibi's talking about why he's behaving in the way that he is and why he's calling it out. And he's trying to frame it as, it's a call to action. He's telling his audience what to do. No, he's not. And you're being disingenuous arguing that. You've straight away, within less than 2 minutes, mischaracterized a single tweet from Chibi because you, again, want to mischaracterize. It's like, I get that you're desperate for views like any normal content creator, but this just isn't really it. You could have probably articulated yourself far more better and saying, hey, Chibi, maybe not stir the pot that's trying to come after you and antagonize them. That would have been a better angle that you would have gone with, but you didn't. You went with the whole, he's radicalizing his audience. I feel some people don't understand Chibi's when, I think Harmful Opinion knows what Chibi's trying to say. I think he's just deliberately trying to paint it in a deceptive way to get his audience riled up.
Chibi Reviews uploaded...
Why are people twisting Chibi's words? Because it's good content.
...we did a photograph of a letter he received.
And I noticed you have censored it far more. That interesting.
Describes it as a threat to his life, though no such threat is present in the pictures. You'll notice there are...
I notice it's quite blurred, by the way. Very blurred. You know what? Let's go and actually read the actual thing, seeing as you want to really, really blur it, bro.
Pictures as well.
Right? Because I'm showing it on here. Maybe my quality isn't high enough. Let's go all the way up. no, the quality is just not very good on this video. So I feel like you probably could have done a better job. It's a different tweet. Let's look at it. You effed up bad. You effed up. I probably shouldn't show the other part, probably, right? But all of which were exposed for da-da-da. You effed up, tried to take down on your video. You effed up playing da-da-da. You effed up scamming fanbase. You effed up making enemies. I'm probably going to read. You took down... I just want to check something because the other one does show the address. I don't know if I should. Does the tweet say anything different from the other one? No. Okay, so this is the only one that matters. I just wanted to make sure the other one didn't have anything additional information, but that's basically the actual contents of the letter itself. Which, by the way, based on the information presented here, this is false. People hacked into his account and put stuff on that account. So this is just factually incorrect. You effed up trying to take down my video, my first video on you. Okay, so clearly this is a very personal one. You effed up in playing a part in suspending my da-da-da-da account. I'll get it back, lol. You effed up scamming your fan base. You effed up making an enemy out of me. Now I'm going to make sure I strip everything away from you. That's a pretty big threat right there. I'm going to strip everything away from you. I took down your Twitter once before, so doing it again isn't going to be hard. But since you want to try and deform people who expose you, I'm aiming for you, your YouTube as well. You F and P word, you deserve all of this, Jacob. Shouldn't have made an enemy out of me. I think that's a pretty heavy threat, in my opinion. Right? I'm going to strip everything away from you. I think that's a pretty heavy threat.
Of recording, Chibi Reviews uploaded a photograph of a letter he received. He describes it as a threat to his life, though no such threat is present in the picture.
I find that interesting. There's no such present threat in there. Again, he says that, but again, we go back to that point. Make sure to strip everything away from you. You could interpret that as a threat to his life and a threat to, I'm going to come for you and take everything away from you. Right? There's a lot of... Sure, he's not directly saying, I'm going to come for your life, but he's saying a very broad stroke of, I'm going to strip everything. I don't know. Just being honest here, I feel like you're kind of watering it down. Harmful opinion. There's definitely a threat there. That's a serious threat. I just find it interesting. You kind of really wanted this to be as blurry as humanly possible and then say, guys, you didn't make a threat. It's like, this is the third time. You've deliberately tried to tilt how it's been interpreted.
Pictures. You'll notice there are two pictures as well. It's actually the letter twice, but the second one is a person's name and an address, with his underneath scribbled out. Now,
yeah, I'm not going to show the second one because I don't need to.
Now someone who goes by...
And I'm not interested in putting that information there.
Sly Fox Son retweeted this post and followed up by saying, keep Chibi Reviews in your thoughts. And they then said something very interesting. That's me! Bruh, Sly Fox retweets it again. And then says, a reason why I despise the Kiwi farms, because they literally used my preferred name to send a death threat against someone I'm following. How?
Which, by the way, they're saying straight up that they believe that's a death threat.
Threat against someone I'm following. How confident are you that this is the person who sent that letter? Me, personally, not very, but this is who Chibi has painted a target on the back of, with responses to him further distributing this information and saying things like, payback is gonna be shit. Others I will not show for obvious reasons have been posting images of the property and suggesting visiting. Have been posting, for instance, the LinkedIn of a woman, obviously unrelated, and telling people that it's her, simply because she has the same name Chibi shared to make a target, as he explained he would do.
I do think it is somewhat stupid for Chibi to show that part, to be very clear. I will say that. That is stupid. He probably should have kept that part of the letter out and should have just shown the letter itself and said, yes, this is... I think the reason why Chibi showed the other part was he wanted to show more evidence of it because people would have just screamed that it was fake. His literary skill is not high enough for the context. I feel like he's cherry picking how he wants to interpret things because again, it is a very heavy threat, right? To say what they said is a very heavy threat upon life. It depends on the interpretation, right? You could try and argue that it's not a threat on life, but I would argue that it is. And the fact that he's trying to say, oh, well, it's totally not, and then sort of blur it, it feels like he's just trying to, again, do the whole, it's not a threat, guys, don't look into it too deeply. Do I think Chibi should have put the rest of the address there? No, I don't think he should have.
A few days ago, in his statement against non-violence. Even if this fan of his, Sly Fox, is the person who sent the letter, the docs is not done clearly enough.
Oh, you couldn't see it? Oh. It basically just went through this where the person said that it was them. Right? Just that there.
The LinkedIn of a woman, obviously unrelated, and telling people that it's her, simply because she has the same name Chibi shared to make a target, as he explained he would do a few days ago, in his statement against non-violence. Even if this fan of his, Sly Fox, is the person who sent the letter, the docs is not done clearly enough to prevent collateral to other people who share details. Instead, he just regurgitated personally identifiable information he was sent in the mail.
I would say yes, Chibi probably shouldn't have shown that information. He shouldn't have. Right? Show the letter, sure, but don't show the address. But again, it feels like there's more criticism on being on Chibi here and less on the person that actually probably sent the letter as trying to send a veiled threat to, well, again, I say veil, but to be honest, it's probably a very serious threat. Because again, this is the thing, you've got to ask yourself the question that I said last stream. Is this person going to go through it? You only need one insane person to follow through on a threat.
To a mass audience, he's been encouraging to reject pacifism and retaliate to threatening behavior.
That's not what he really said. He was talking about what he does when it comes to calling this stuff out and criticizing it. But you're trying to paint this narrative that he's calling to action, that he's telling people to rally together and do stuff. It's like, you're cherry picking what you want to take out of this, which is so goddamn selective because you're over-exaggerating what Chibi's saying, but then you're underplaying the letter. Now, you could argue I'm doing the opposite, but it's just interesting that he's going, yeah, Chibi's doing a call to action, guys. He's telling people to go do things. Oh, also, this letter didn't actually say anything about, harming him, but it literally says, I'm going to strip everything away from you. That's a pretty heavy threat. You could interpret that as a threat of life. You could interpret that. But he downplays it. It's interesting.
Is not done clearly enough to prevent collateral to other people who share details. Instead, he just regurgitated personally identifiable information he was sent.
As I said, I agree he should not have posted the personal information. That is his one mistake.
In the mail. To a mass audience, he's been encouraging to reject pacifism and retaliate to threatening behavior in the past few days. This is why you either dox or you don't. You don't go halfsies. You don't
dox, period. You don't dox, period. Doxing is illegal. You just don't dox.
Put out a name and an address. Maybe it's where the person lives. If it's not, it's...
I think Chibi has probably sent it to the FBI and the police, but I think Chibi should have just shown the letter and that was it, and not shown the actual address.
It's worse, because now there's an even bigger pool of people that might get attacked, especially as someone who's been inciting violence over the past few days, telling people to reject pacifism and escalate in their retaliations, explicitly stating this is his advice. This is why, especially if you're someone like Chibi who incites and endorses escalating retaliation,
That's not what he said, though. He didn't say that he wanted to escalate anything, right? He's just saying that he's not going to roll over and have them... Why is he justifying doxing? Because he's an idiot. Doxing is bad in general. That's why I don't agree with Chibi showing that other part of the letter, because I think he shouldn't be doxing anyone, even his own opponents, right? You should just, and I would assume the person that sent the letter was using someone else's address as a dummy address or something like that, using some underhanded tactic. But doxing in general is bad, right? If someone's trying to harm you and they're trying to dox you, you go to the authorities. Now, like I said, if Chibi wanted to show proof that people are sending these horrible letters, sure, but don't show the doxed information. So I don't agree with doxing at all. Yeah, but doxing in general doesn't really go anywhere. If the person lives in another country like it happens to me, I remember talking to the police and they can't do anything. I mean, yeah, it's... If someone comes to your house or your address, and that's the thing, there's only so much you can really do other than, like, tell them to go away. If they try and break in, that's when it's, yeah, you go to the police and stuff. But if they're sending actual threats that they're going to do harm to you, then that's where there's more action. It depends on the country, depends on what you can do. Again, I don't live in America. But I just feel like he's over-exaggerating. He's exaggerating what Chibi's saying, and then he's underplaying the letter for his own convenience.
Either dox or you don't. You either confirm who the person is.
Doxing is a legal grey area. What, in the US? Because last I remember, it's pretty illegal to take someone else's personal information and make it publicly available if it's not publicly available. But if someone's already doxed themselves, then it's kind of one of those where it's like, well, you kind of dug your own hole kind of situation.
Confirm that they're responsible, and share enough that no one could mistake them for someone else, when you're obviously, clearly, deliberately trying to paint a target on someone's back, having said explicitly that you are going to try to hurt these people, or you don't post anything at all. And you certainly don't just post a name and address you got in the mail and associate it with a threatening letter, having just a few days prior told people to reject pacifism in their...
Again, you are over-exaggerating what Chibi's tweet is, but yes, he should not have shown the address on the letter. But you're over-exaggerating things, and you're doing the same thing you did in the leaflet video. You're repeating yourself and not really making a point, which is what you did in the tweet.
Dealings with people who do such things. Crazy. Absolute madness. Many people are defending it on the basis that it's not clear that that's that person's address, or maybe even anyone's address at all. Doing some digging suggests that's false, but additionally, that's worse. Ambiguous doxes put...
Doxing isn't taken seriously here. Which country are you from to say? Is it the US?
more people in danger. Precise doxes put one in danger. Now, to be clear, if he'd nailed the person who sent him that silly letter, my response would be, fuck him, get owned. But not what's happening here. Even if it is some deranged follower of his who wants attention, even if it is that Sly Fox person, he hasn't doxed them well enough. Especially when you've been posting incitement to violence against people who do certain behaviors, and then attach that information to that kind of behavior.
Wait, what? Are you saying that he's calling the action of violence?
My response would be, fuck him, get owned. But not what's happening here. Even if it is some deranged follower of his who wants attention, even if it is that Sly Fox person, he hasn't doxed them well enough. Especially when you've been posting incitement to violence against people who do certain behaviors, and then attach that information to that kind of behavior.
So you're saying that Chibi is actively calling for active violence? Where has Chibi said that? And if you go back to that original tweet, then that's just you again misinterpreting Chibi's tweet. Can anyone tell me if I'm misinterpreting what he's trying to say here? This guy's making a video for attention. Yes, he is. It's like Chibi didn't call to action to tell people to go commit violence. Where does he say that? Why are you deliberately misinterpreting what Chibi is saying here? Can you check when Chibi made that tweet he kept referring to? I can look. I believe I read it as well. Because I remember reading it myself as well. But it might have been a couple of days ago. That's why I got to scroll. So the tweet was on the 23rd of April, because it's right here. That's his tweet. Again, important notice, Don't throw stones at people wanting you dead. Nah, I'm gonna low blow you. If they're gonna low blow you, you return it back 120%, given the chance. Having rigid pacifism only crumbles into bloodstains on the dirt. The only victory you achieve is being a coward while suffering alone. I mean, he's basically saying in a roundabout way, I'm not going to be tread on by these people and constantly attacked and bullied and pushed into silence. He's not saying go do X, Y, Z. He's just saying I'm not going to do this. He's not telling anyone to do anything. So again, why are you deliberately twisting his words, harmful opinion? He has not called an act of violence. Show me the tweet where he has done that. Show me the tweet. Show me the tweet. You're not gonna. You're gonna go, herp-de-derp, he showed it in here. No, he didn't. You are deliberately misinterpreting that tweet. You are deliberately misinterpreting that tweet and then just doubling down and tripling down. I've never seen someone this stupid and yet think you're so smart.
Behavior. My understanding is that Chibi and I are about the same age. I think he's 30, 31. Based on his behavior, I wanted to check if he was just a kid or something. But no, we're about the same age. I'm 34. Chibi, we are not...
For a 34-year-old, you are very, very stupid at reading. Unless you just deliberate. You either are an idiot or you're deliberately being deceptive. It's one or the other.
Not little girls. We are men. You don't get a pass.
If you want to talk about being a man, you probably shouldn't be deliberately trying to deceive people and having a hissy fit over a girl not reacting to a video about nuts as well, but I digress.
To do whatever you want, cause you're scared. When you were just endangering yourself in your little retarded slap fight with internet trolls, I tweeted at you to warn you that you're gonna become a danger, but otherwise I was happy to watch. Now I can see you're an active threat to everyone around you, and potentially anyone. Fucking cut it out. Grow up.
The irony of telling someone to grow up when you had a hissy fit over a girl on the internet, not reacting to a video that your friend wanted. I mean, again, anyone in chat that thinks I'm interpreting that tweet incorrectly of Chibi's and I'm misinterpreting harmful opinion, please, by all means, enlighten me. But this is literally the most, like, childish, I'm going to deliberately misinterpret your video and then, by the way, call you childish in the same sentence. Like, really? Really? That's interesting. I know he'll find out about this because I know he goes around watching other content, so he's probably going to have a hissy fit about me calling him out. But, bro, I mean, I get that you blurred the low quality of Chibi's original tweet on that letter, but Jesus Christ, if you think that's a call to violence, you need a reality check. You need to grow up. Again, do I understand why Chibi's getting angry and upset? Yeah, I can understand why he's lashing out and why he's frustrated. He's been constantly harassed, constantly bullied, constantly called in different insults. And have you ever acknowledged any of that? No, you wouldn't show any empathy or any sympathy whatsoever because, again, you're trying to do the internet edgy troll kind of thing of being like, I'm an edgelord. Hoo-hoo. You want to talk about maturity? I'd ask you to look in a mirror, but you're not going to. You're just going to, again, do the whole, everyone's a child except me because I'm a funny edgelord. Oh, I know he's live right now. I was seeing if he reacted to anything relevant to this, but is he streaming me? Because I don't care, but I still think it's entertaining that he's having this kind of mental gymnastics to try and justify it. I just need to refresh the other page because for some reason YouTube is crashing out. So I just... Again, do I think Chibi maybe should... If you want to argue if Chibi should maybe not give so much attention to them, sure. Right? We could argue that maybe Chibi shouldn't be feeding the trolls. We could argue that. Could we argue that Chibi shouldn't have shown that address? Yes, I think it's stupid that he showed that address. But to say that he is doing a call to action, and almost trying to ignore and downplay the whole what they're doing to him and not understanding, be somewhat sympathetic of why Chibi might be so upset and maybe a little bit irrational in your eyes. I'd expect a little bit of common sense there and a little bit of critical thinking, but I feel like harmful opinions more focused on trying to be that pseudo-intellectual, disingenuous, going to be the whole let me stomp my feet and be an edgelord and try and, you know, paint a narrative rather than being genuine and actually showing a level of humanity or just some goddamn form of empathy, right? I know that word's scary for people like him, empathy, but this just feels like a really low-hanging... And he repeats himself multiple times, so it's like you could have just cut this into like 3-4 minutes.
Stop acting impulsively. If you think...
I agree that Chibi is acting impulsively to a point, right? Because he is. He's lashing out. He's getting upset. He feels cornered. But you're also not acknowledging why Chibi's lashing out and why he's potentially being irrational. You're not acknowledging that. Why? Because that would require you to show empathy and also acknowledge what Kiwi Farms is doing, which I think you're just more scared that they might come after you next, which I get, but then don't make the video. If you're scared that they're going to come after you and that's why you don't want to criticize them, then don't make the video. Otherwise, this is just you being disingenuous.
Think this is serious, start acting like it. Or, if this is what you want to do now, why not delete your YouTube, delete your Twitter, sign up to Kiwi Farms instead. You'll be safer doing it there. And nothing I or anyone else can really do if you're just another face in the crowd. Except, maybe not. You'd get bullied.
I don't really understand the point you're making here other than delete everything to go to Kiwi Farms. What does that have to do with anything? This just feels weird. This just feels like I'm trying to be angry for the sake of being angry. Again, articulate yourself. Be thoughtful in how you're trying to present something.
There too for being shit.
Thank you for dropping by, Vishy.
It. By the way, in case I have your attention and I'm not just talking into the void, I sent you a message at the start of the month in Twitter DMs. No threats. Totally chill if you'd like a break from this kind of thing, and I'd love to hear your answers. A video addressing it would be fascinating, I'm sure, and it would be easy content. Anyway, just a quick...
Easy content, so it's about content and not actually about helping him. Why would Chibi want to talk to you when you deliberately misinterpreted what he said? Who the fuck would want to talk to you when you do that?
Quick one because I felt morally obligated to put the...
Morally obligated? Bro, you... Okay. I don't really see the point in why you made it. You made a vague tweet, you made a video because you needed some quick content, I get it. You needed a quickie out there, but this just feels really disingenuous. I'm just disappointed in these people. I'm just disappointed. And for someone to sit there and tell Chibi to grow up, irony. A bit of irony.
Warning out there. Take it easy, have a good one, and try not to post any random personally identifying information that trolls send you in the mail.
Okay, that was rather pointless of a video by him. Not surprised. Morally obligated to get ad revenue more. Like, yeah, that's... I'm gonna be honest, I was morally obligated to make this video. Don't try and butter your audience. I get, actually, you know what, I take it back, harmful opinion. I get why you say that, because your audience is dumb enough to think that you're some, like, hero to the people. I am morally obligated to bring justice to the internet because I, harmful opinion, am the pioneer of heroes. Shut the fuck up. The pretentious, oh, I'm so important, oh, I'm morally obligated, oh, I'm trying to be a hero. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You can sell it to your audience, which you know they're dumb enough to eat. I know they're dumb enough to eat. We all know they're dumb enough to eat. They probably know they're dumb enough to eat, but you ain't selling that bitch to me. Morally obligated. Just say you're looking for some content to farm. Like everything else you've pretty much done in your entire career. You just wanted to farm. I don't know. Don't sit there and try and, like, buddy yourself up and be like, you're some hero of the people. You're not. You're not. You're a content farmer. Own it. He doesn't want Chibi to quit who will make content. I mean, of course he doesn't. He doesn't want them to quit doing this. This is content for him. If Chibi, and that's the thing, he said it himself, well, if you want to make a video out of it, Chibi, then he'll make a video out of it. It's about content. If he genuinely really cared, he'd actually try and talk to Chibi DMs one-on-one. But it's more about the content than it is about anything else, which is like, just own it. There's nothing wrong with that, but own it. This is what I hate about these content creators. They try and put on the mask and they try and do the whole, oh, look at me, I'm trying to be the hero. I'm trying to be the better person. Oh, I'm morally obligated. Fuck off. You ain't selling that bullshit to me. Oh god, that was comedy. That was comedy, that whole part there. That's my new word for the week. Oh, I was morally obligated to make this video. Tells people to grow up, acts like the biggest pretentious douchebag on the internet, and tries and paints himself as some hero of the people. Dude, you have a complex, and it's good. I love it. Oh. Oh. I need to take a breather there. He's like the discount quartering. Quartering's pretty weird. I mean, quartering's a little bit more of an extreme that I wouldn't put on harmful opinions. I don't want to insult him that bad. I feel like quartering's in a whole different ballpark. But it's like, that's an easy content farm as well. Like, I've known about the quartering. I've watched his content for a long... Well, I don't anymore, but I used to watch his content ages ago when I first heard about him. And I generally got irritated at quartering's content, like, after a month. I was like, bro, can you, like, shut up about your coffee, bro? Can you take a gay quiz? What? That was a weird question. So many people try to become a hero and moral justice nowadays. Yeah, I do think that. I do think that there's a lot of people that try and present themselves as like they're doing the greater good for the community. Quartering does way more ums and ahs. Yes, Quartering's content is so bad. Like, his video will be 15 minutes long. Half of his video is trying to sell his coffee, and then the other half is just, well, you get a 15-minute video. You take half of it out. It's all just padding, right? It's just buy this, link to this, do that. And then you get to the other half, which is meant to be the content. Take half of that out, and that's just and ahhing. So when you've got a 15-minute long video, about 3 minutes of the video, maybe 4 if we're being generous, is actual genuine content when it comes to the quartering. Most of the quartering's content is just garbage. Genuine garbage. No one should be using the quartering as some, like, pioneer. I mean, he's currently now doing a lot of those, like, react videos where he's like 10 seconds of like, look at this video that I found, and it's just AI slop. So it's that was just comedy gold. I don't know. Can we watch the video about the Federal Unemployment Tax Act? I don't know what that is. I haven't seen it, should I say. When did it come out? Who made the video? Specifically the uni students that think they are like the greatest people on the planet because they have academics, which for them automatically makes them feel superior to others. Which video and where? I mean, you might have to link it to me because I don't know any content creators that I follow have made that video. The quartering content is kind of like harmful back then. Don't know what's going on now. What like harmful's now content or what it used to be like. Because I mean, I don't really watch a lot of Harmful's videos, mainly because I just generally don't really find much of an interest in them. Because again, that's exactly why most of his videos are generally just trying to misinterpret things for the sake of a good clickbait. And I mean, I remember one of his videos that he made recently where people called him out on it and were like, "Dude, your video is literally just pure clickbait." And he's like, "Oh yeah, but it's like to farm the algorithm," and it's like, okay, but you're trying to paint yourself as some like you're morally obligated to tell the truth. And he doesn't, right? He'll try and paint himself as, oh, I'm all about truth and common sense and being real, but then he clickbaits in it and then openly admits he's just farming the algorithm. And it's like, okay, if you want to do that, fine, but don't try and paint yourself as some like moral upstanding person. I don't watch much of his content, if really at all. It's just whenever stuff like this happens. I sent you the video. Okay, I will check. Okay, it was the video that I did find. It's like okay, it's only 5 minutes long. Thank God for that. My attention span, man. My attention span. This is going to be an interesting video. Payroll and Taxes 101. Why do I feel like I'm doing a course right now? Why do I feel like I'm doing a course? I swear to God, if this feels like a course. I only watched one video from her and it was off. To be honest, that video just generally... I just don't like the way he deliberately I think he's deliberately misinterpreting things because I don't think Harmful's that stupid, right? I generally don't think he's that stupid. I think he's probably smart enough for the average person, but I just think he thinks people are stupid enough to believe the kind of like misinterpretation that he's doing, which his audience probably goes with. You call this a palate cleanser? This feels like I'm back at school.
Good morning, class. Who's ready for a pop quiz?
No. Oh wow, nice sound effects.
That's the spirit. Can anyone tell me what FUTA is?
I don't live in America, so I don't need to know.
It stands for Federal Unemployment Tax Act. Now, FUTA, along with state unemployment systems, provide for payments of unemployment compensation to workers who have lost their jobs.
Sounds like Centrelink over here. But Centrelink, let's see how it says.
And if you're looking to become a business owner after passing this class, take note. As an employer, you are responsible for paying FUTA tax. It isn't withheld from the employee's wages, and most employers pay both state and federal unemployment taxes. Now, are there any guidelines? I hear you ask. Of course. We've got to have some guidelines, such as which employers are responsible for paying this tax. In general, if you pay your employees more than $1,500 in a calendar quarter, and you had employees for some part of a day in each of 20 weeks for this year or last year, you'll be subject to FUTA tax.
I'm already confused.
That is...
I ain't taking it. I'm already like... It's like 3 a.m. You're asking me to do this. This is like me back at TAFE where I'm like, Greg, I gotta do this course before I start tomorrow.
Basically everyone who has an employee. Now, figuring FUTA tax can be a little tricky, but I'll do my best to explain it. If you still have questions afterwards, ask them in the comments section, starting with the phrase FUTA question, and I'll be sure to stick around after class to answer it. Now, in 2021,
Well, class ended 3 years ago.
the FUTA tax rate...
I'm losing brain cells just watching this. I'm gonna come for you, Candy. I spanked that ass so hard that we put you in another dimension making me watch this.
Was 6%. This tax applies to the first $7,000
I feel like I've been watching this for 20 minutes and it's only been 2 minutes.
you pay to each employee as wages during the year. That $7,000 is called the federal wage base. Your state wage base may be different. Generally, you can take a credit against your FUTA tax for the amounts you paid into the state unemployment funds.
What?
The credit may be as much as 5.4% of the FUTA's taxable wages. If you're entitled to the maximum 5.4% credit, the FUTA tax rate after the credit is 0.6%. Now, you're entitled to the maximum credit if you paid your state unemployment taxes in full, on time, and on all the same wages that are subject to FUTA tax. Now, here comes the fun part. Depositing FUTA tax. For deposit purposes, calculate FUTA tax quarterly. Determine your FUTA tax liability.
What the fuck are you making me watch this for, Candy? What the fuck are you making me watch? I'm already out of fucking... I swear to God, kid. Huge. I don't give a shit about FUTA tax. Who do you think I am? That's what I go to a tax consultant for. Actually, fun fact, I'm almost over 3 years overdue to do my taxes. Woo! That's alright. I'm gonna do my taxes probably in the next month or so. Why you learn tax not related to your... I don't need to understand American taxes. I got a tax consultant over here in Australia for that shit. Why are we still here? Just... I swear to God, kid. Swear to God. The US will take over the... Dude, I hate how governments, and especially over here in Australia, right? They'll be like, oh, we lowered your wage taxes. And it's like, oh, yay. By the way, we created a whole new tax system. Apparently they want to come up with a tax over here that if you own a property and you have a vacant room, they will tax you for having the room vacant in your own house. Now, if you're wondering, wow, that's a stupid tax. I wonder other places that have it. Well, the UK has it. So I would get taxed for leaving my room vacant in a house that I own. So then I would have to rent it out, which would then get taxed by the government because it would be an income source. So basically the government's just trying to screw me over because they can't make more money out of me. Fuck, I hate my government. It's my house. If I don't want to live with other people, I don't want to live with other people. I already pay land taxes. I don't need to pay empty room tax. They also want to bring in a new tax for EVs. Yeah, I heard about that too. So stupid. It's like a tax for a tax of a tax of a tax of a tax. And that's the problem. The economy is going to collapse because they add so many taxes that no one's going to have any money. And that's the problem. No one has any money, not because the cost of living is too expensive, but because there's so many different forms of taxes that the government drains from you. And where does the money go? What does the money do? Nothing. Nothing. Because they're stupid. They're inefficient morons. Oh, that video. That was horrible. That was horrible, Candy. What did you do? Why do you hate me, Candy? Why do you hate me, bro? Why do you hate me? If we're your friends and you sent me that video. You can call that a palate cleanser. That gave me brain damage. Is there anything interesting that I can react to? Not really. Not really? There's some cool videos. Ooh. When's that coming out? Oh, I was getting hyped. So I gotta wait 43 hours? I don't want to wait 43 hours. That's stupid. That's just boring. Chibi made a new video. What, right now? Then I'll be a trick. Ah, candy. Oh, yeah, I see. He made it an hour ago. I've got great news. Da 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 da. There was some videos that I was gonna. Yeah, I know Monta's done a couple. There's 2 videos I haven't watched yet. I don't know if I was gonna watch them on stream or not. Oh, Chibi actually made 2 videos. It just for some reason I didn't notice it. He made one an hour ago and one 30 minutes ago. Wait, really? The Attack on Titan hated the... Okay, we'll watch this then. I'm curious. We'll watch this.
Apparently Isayama, the creator...
If I was going to debate to myself tonight, am I going to go to karate tomorrow? My back's still sore. So I don't know.
...of Attack on Titan did not like how his manga series ended. And
you can suggest a video. It just depends if it's interesting, I'll watch it. If you are batshit insane like Candy, because apparently he's a member on the channel, he gets a higher priority of torturing me. I'm not going to let him torture me again. That was brain damaging. I do not care and understand American taxes because there's too many of them. I don't even understand my own taxes over here. It's just the difference is I don't get in trouble if I screw up my taxes. That's why I get a tax consultant, because I pay them.
And so let's read this interview that he had to really confirm if that is true or not. So Attack on Titan creator Hajime Isayama shares thoughts on the series ending, now on display in the Attack on Titan Museum in his hometown as of April 24th, 2026. So this is new news. This is not old news that's being, like, recovered. This literally just came out a few days ago that is now making waves because of the new Attack on Titan Museum. So this is what Isayama said. Eren became a protagonist who committed mass slaughter on a scale rarely seen in other works of fiction. As for why I conceived such a story from the beginning, part of it was my desire to create a narrative with a major twist, where the victim becomes the perpetrator. But a large factor was also my own immaturity and foolishness at the time. When I was in my early 20s, that aspect became the core of Eren's character, leading to a point where he confesses not as someone forced into wrongdoings by circumstances, but as someone who has harbored a desire to do harm. However, Attack on Titan had long since ceased to be mine alone, and Eren became a character loved by many readers. In the end, without fully committing to portraying him as a detestable figure, I found myself depicting him with a certain closeness and sympathy. As a result, I feel there remains a sense of insincerity in the story's conclusion, at least in my own assessment. And then this is the plaque in the museum, as you can see here, and this is what he said in an old interview that Anime Updates highlights here. In an old interview, Hajime Isayama, Attack on Titan, spoke about the importance of endings and how they have the power to create a work that will stay in people's hearts, and this is what he said. It won't last forever, but if Breaking Bad didn't have an ending, it wouldn't be interesting. The reason why Breaking Bad is a masterpiece is because there's an end to it. I want to keep writing and create work that will stay in people's hearts. So more or less, basically, he wants an ending for a story, and he wants a story that will be able to continuously be talked about within people's hearts and be labeled as a masterpiece. And obviously, with the conclusion of Attack on Titan, let's just be honest, let's not troll and kid ourselves, we're all adults here. We know that the ending of Attack on Titan was very controversial. It split the fandom. I saw 50-50 people basically outright loving the ending, and then other people...
I haven't read the Attack on Titan manga. I mean, I've watched the anime, but I haven't read the manga. I don't really care to. I kind of wish he'd redo the ending and just make it good. I didn't really like it.
Outright hating the ending. It was a massive exodus and divide between the community when it came to just the conclusion of...
I think some people were going to like it no matter what was done, and there are those that are going to be defending it or hating it no matter what, right? You're never going to please everyone, but there are going to be naturally people that will never be unsatisfied because they will ride it to the end.
Of the series, way more than Chainsaw Man's conclusion. I saw way more people basically outright hating Chainsaw Man's conclusion than basically Attack on Titan's conclusion. It was a 50-50 divide, and with these...
Have you seen I just covered that, the harmful opinion on Chibi.
These words that Isayama has now clarified in the museum, it's very clear what he's saying here is two things. He says that at first he was writing a character like Eren to be basically detestable and an unlikable figure, and eventually as he continued to write, the series was no longer just his. He basically said that Attack on Titan had long ceased to be his alone, and what he indicates here is that he was more or less...
Is it worse than Oshinoko? I don't know. Oshinoko, I feel like, really actually should have gone down the actual incest route. Like, it probably should have just gone down it. It would have been a far better ending if it did. I don't know.
Writing for the fans and their expectations, and probably other higher-ups as well, to be able to extend his story and extend and make more money. Now, I'm just going to say this regardless. It's completely fine if Isayama wanted to extend his story or change things in a way to be able to make more money. I'm not going to fault a man for that. It's his work at the end of the day, so I'm not going to, criticize him for wanting to make money, because that is the purpose of him writing and sharing his story. Even if he loves the story, he is trying to make money from it. So I'm not going to put him down for that. But the big point here is he does indicate that the story did get outside of his control. He was basically no longer just writing it with his own whims and his own design. He started writing it for others. And he basically says that the ending with Eren's character, he wrote a character that obviously was very sympathetic and had closeness with readers, instead of someone that should have just been outright despicable and gross. And I mean, his opening statement, I think, actually indicates this right here, where he says he created a protagonist who committed mass murder and slaughter on a scale rarely seen in other works of fiction, which is legitimately true. Obviously, if we want to compare it to Dragon Ball, like what Frieza does, for instance, or Majin Buu, obviously it's not comparable. Eren is a drop in the bucket. But if we're talking about just the scale of, like, for instance, without blowing up planets, for instance, we're just talking about just planet-wide.
What do I think of the Chainsaw Man ending? I don't know. I haven't actually read it myself. I have not read it. But yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, Eren has done atrocities that are so insanely evil, it's crazy. But the point here is at the end of the story, what a lot of people agreed with, which is what divided the fandom, and I'm just going to get into spoilers, obviously. I mean, it's been years since the ending of the series, so I think I could talk about it. But basically, Eren committed to literally genociding and killing the entirety of the world off besides the Island of Paradise. That's literally what he decided to do. Now, was this an evil act? Yes, Eren was completely evil for doing this.
I don't know why I misclicked. See you, Greg. I was meant to click pause and I misclicked.
Once them gone, what threat that just needed to be dealt with, keep the entire planet. Now, obviously, evil act, but his motivation and why a lot of people even sympathized with him was because at the end of the day, if there is no conversation that can be allowed anymore, no communication, and they're going to come after you and do the exact same thing to you, you might as well do it first. That's at least what the story was painting it as. And so as Eren basically won, like the ending of the story, Eren won. He did. He completely won. But at the final moments, he decided to basically bitch out and give up. He gave up at literally the 95% mark of like, oh, I've already 95%ed, like, the entirety of the planet, but I want to give up now. You can kill me, I'm dead and all that, and that's it. And effectively, when he did this, it allowed the people that survived on the other side that already had animosity and hatred towards the Island of Paradise to rebuild maybe 100 to 200 years later to come back and wipe out the island. And that's exactly what Isayama showed, basically indicating that Eren should have went all the way if he really cared about his friends, because he doomed his friends, and even if they passed away, he doomed their descendants, their children. They all basically passed away. He had doomed the entirety of that part of the world. So yeah, the story obviously divided a lot of people, and I think what Isayama is saying here is that if he truly wanted to hammer in the conclusion, he should have just went all the way to make Eren as detestable and evil as possible, and basically went probably full through with committing the act instead of kind of whining and getting out of it at the end. That's at least my conclusion I see here. So, does Isayama hate his ending? That is debatable. You could say yes, you could say no. I mean, his words here is his own words on the museum plaque, literally saying he senses a sense of insincerity in the story's conclusion. And when an author looks at their work like that, I think it indicates that they're kind of dissatisfied. They are...
It's clear that he probably feels dissatisfied. And probably also the fact that people probably showed such hatred towards it that he felt like maybe he could have done better. And that's maybe why he reflected on it and thought, nah, probably could have done a better job. I think it's good self-reflection, but at the same time, it's, unless he makes another ending, which would probably be annoying because people would be like, which ending are people going to pick yeah. I mean, at that point, he just needs to let it rest. Otherwise, go through with it and redo it and say, this is the ending I wanted.
Dissatisfied with how it ended, and they probably, if they had the option to potentially change something or make something different, they probably would. And when you look at his previous wording, talking about how, the series was no longer just his, I think he also feels guilt that he allowed it to get outside of his control, and he no longer created a narrative just for himself, but for others as well. And this is one of the big reasons why I like Refugin, the author of Mushoku Tensei, because he's outright said many times on social media that he writes for himself alone. He doesn't care if nobody reads it, he writes it for himself. He'll even...
I respect that. I genuinely respect that. I've always wanted to make a game. There's a story that I really want to tell, because I've always wanted to make my own game, but I have no idea where to start with it. But I've always wanted to make a Fire Emblem style game, not story-wise, but game mechanics-wise, but with a post-apocalyptic kind of story to do with a multitude of different threads of stories, to do with AI, robotics, genetic mutation, ascension, and also space as well. Really build a hybrid of a story. And I actually have a decent idea of what the story I wanted to make would be, but I just never really gotten to ever actually doing it. Just because, But it's I just don't really care if people played the game or anything. I just really want to make a game and see what I can do with it. Because it'd be really cool.
To write stories to gatekeep it, to keep it to himself, which is wild. That's wild, but this is why I really respect that man as an author. And I'm not saying I don't respect Isayama. Even though I do not like the ending of Attack on Titan, I really am very bitter about the ending. I do respect him on the story he crafted over the years, and there is circumstances that was probably outside of his control that he couldn't really control, which I can't really blame or fault him for. But he did basically spawn a new generation of anime and manga fans. He was someone that really sparked a lot of change within...
Something like Octopath Traveler with Fire Emblem mechanics. Yeah, actually, kind of in a way where you have an overworld, right? You can kind of explore with your little characters and stuff, and then you go to different parts of the world in the map, and you do a Fire Emblem style mechanics where it's turn-based and all that kind of stuff, and it's tactical based, but I also want it to kind of be a little bit like a waifu kind of thing, where it's waifu simulator kind of thing, where there's a lot of fun waifus and teams that you can build and stuff like that. But I also like the idea of trying to improve on the concept of one of the biggest flaws that I think is with Fire Emblem is where they give you a giant tier of waifus, but you can only really ever use a small subset of them. So say, for example, they give you a boatload of them, but you can only ever use 30% of them, because the rest of them are just characters that you kind of just throw to the side and you only pick the ones you either like or that's the strongest. I like the idea of building a large catalog of characters in the game and then having different systems that you can use them for, and different advantages and disadvantages, and having different types of mechanics in there. So it's something that I would love to make. It wouldn't be really a heavily complicated game. If anything, it'd be a pretty simplistic game. But it's just a matter of knowing where to go to build it, and the cost of getting it built, and all that kind of stuff. Getting the foundations of a game like that built and then finding an artist later on would be the main thing. It'd be really cool, because I have a really cool story in my mind that I really want to kind of go with. It's kind of like an inspiration of Nikke and Stellar Blade style story, but with a unique, interesting spin to it. So
in the manga industry, and I do thank him for that. I really do, and I think a lot of people owe a lot of thanks to him, because he's inspired a lot of series over the years that I don't think people really understand, like the DNA of Attack on Titan is shoved into them. But I will leave it at that. I wanted to talk about this, because this was a very, very interesting little article and interview or whatever that came out that I felt I wanted to cover, since...
write it as a book in a Wattpad first. I mean, I could do that. I mean, my storytelling, my English is terrible, so yeah, but I could do it. So you basically want to make a Fire Emblem type game with waifu collecting type gotcha game, but actually good. Yes. But if I had like a gotcha mechanic in it, it would be all built into game. Like you wouldn't pay real money for any gotcha. It would all be built in the game. Like you buy the game and that's it. You'd own the game. Like there'd be no purchase slot machine extra stuff. Like if I was to ever do that, it'd be like, okay, buy the game and that's kind of it. The only thing I would ever consider going beyond that is maybe like supporter packs to help fund it kind of thing. That would be about as far as you would go with it. But I don't like the idea of gotcha mechanics being purchased. If I did the gotcha mechanic in the game, it would be purely for fun, right? It wouldn't be designed to be a profit system. It would be designed to be fun, right? Because I like gotcha games. I just hate how predatory the monetary system is. So I'd love to see a gotcha game where it's more about the fun of summoning characters than the actual monetary component of it. And you could add heaps of other fun stuff in it, not just like characters. You could add like skins and stuff like that, and different types of things that are worth rolling on.
A lot of people have been wondering, how does Isayama actually feel about the ending of Attack on Titan? But anyways, be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.
But yeah, it's something that I would love to do. Personally, myself. But it's basically trying to work out how to build the foundations of the game. Right? Because, of course, the story I've got in my own head, what I would do with the story. And where the waifus and all that kind of stuff would fit into it and all that kind of stuff. But it's more just about building the foundations. Because there's, like, multiple layers to the game. But the main layer is two things. It'd be walking around the map, right? You'd build a world. You'd be able to walk around it. It'd be a really big map that you can go from, like, point A to point B. And as you're doing the story, you'd explore more of the world, right? And you'd have fast travel and kind of things. Think of like Octopath Traveler kind of style. But then you would go to different parts of the world, and then you would do the Fire Emblem style game mechanics as well. And then you need to make sure you have the character progression stuff in there. So no microtransactions. No, I wouldn't do microtransactions. I just like sell the game as a baseline. And then the only other thing I would do beyond that, if you needed additional funding for like artists and sounds and music and all that kind of stuff, is I would do maybe like a supporter pack where you'd add some fun cosmetic stuff just for supporters, right? It's just like, hey, you know, right there, you can do that kind of thing. Or you could do something behind like a Patreon kind of thing where it's like, oh, you join a Patreon and you support the game and you get it behind the scenes. I'd look at something like that if I needed funding for things like artists and like music and that kind of thing. But that's as far as I would go. Other than that, I would not want any gotcha mechanics that are microtransaction driven, right? Where you like, oh, buy tokens and then you can summon for waifus. No, I wouldn't do that. It would be based. I don't like the idea of selling power in the game or selling some type of. The game is locked behind it, right? What name would it be? I have no idea what I would name it. I just know what the story would be. Like, there's a story that I have really deep in my head where I'm like, this is what I would want to do as a story. It's a really cool concept of a story. I don't know if I really want to, like, talk about it, but I have this really cool idea of a story. But I'll give a basic rundown of the story. Right, it's not the full story because there'll be things not explained, but I like the idea. You know what? We're gonna do pirate software. So, just want to see if I can do that. Nah, black screen doesn't work. Right. Can you send something on Discord again? You can talk about the what. But the whole concept that I have is basically this whole idea of like AI in it. So I hadn't really concretely thought about how many, but I've thought about the idea of minimally there's like 2 different types of AI, right? So as time has gone on and you go into the future, humanity is creating artificial intelligence, and they're basically having an arms war of different AIs, and what ends up happening is the AIs end up going rogue and they end up going to war with each other. And so there's like different factions of AIs that are going to war with each other, and there are those that want to kill humanity and those that want to defend humanity. And there are those that also have tried to find a way to gain more power and resources. And so as they're trying to gain more power and resources, they're trying to go into things like dark matter, going into like alternate reality, and they're trying to siphon power from an alternate reality, which creates a breach in reality, which then opens up a portal where things start seeping through and starts corrupting things. So I had this whole idea of, Hannah, thank you for dropping by. So I had this like kind of like whole concept of idea of like AI factions of like going to war with each other, and some AI factions building like machines that are constantly attacking the human race, and then they've got another AI that's trying to protect humanity. But it's more of a question of, is the AI actually doing what in the best interest of the AI, or is the AI's main objective protecting humanity, even if it comes at a cost of sacrificing things that humanity wouldn't normally sacrifice? So it's like a question of like, how far would AI go to protect humanity, but also how far would humanity go, how far would AI go to protect humanity, and how far would AI go to destroy humanity, and those two sort of factions. I did debate on other small AI factions in there, kind of idea, but it's like AI has gone so far that it's had to create basically, it's tried to have to push humanity through a evolution of biology and cybernetics to try and push humanity further and further and further to compete against an AI that is building an endless army of machines that is basically warping and twisting like living organisms, right? They're willing to twist and mold living organisms into basically slaves to fight against humanity, whether it's like animals, humans, machine, or where they're siphoning the power from, which I would refer to as like a void, where they're siphoning dark matter from, whatever's leaking through that that system that they're drawing the power from, which has ended up corrupting them, then leads into more mutation and warping it. So it's a general idea of what I'm kind of looking at. It's it's a general basis idea. I mean, obviously it's going to be waifu simulator, because I'm going to put the cheesy part of putting hot waifus in there. But I just like the idea of seeing like where you can go with 2 different types of stories of like those types of things. But I also want to really delve into the concept of, like, for example, what Stellar Blade does is, where does humanity end with the whole idea of like human evolution, like pushing humans so far in the biology and the cybernetics concept that it basically starts to make humans not even human anymore, and so it starts to like warp and twist it a little bit more. Are there any like anti-AI extremist factions? That's one of the things where I kind of thought about like having different factions that maybe aren't necessarily like hiding away, that don't like AI in general. So it's like 2 factions, the main factions being the AI that wants to kill humanity and the AI that wants to protect humanity. But there are some people that just don't trust AI in general and that are kind of hiding away. I also wanted the space element to also be the whole idea of like an orbital ring and having different types of major technologies and stuff like that, where, for example, like the AI has worked out to build a lot of the machines and resources out in space and then sending it down to Earth because it's the most efficient way to destroy them. So it's basically just become it's almost like a game for the AI, being like, how well can I efficiently kill humanity? So it's like building factories out in space, and the whole idea is like this faction needs to work out how to not just hold them back on the Earth itself, but also take the battle to them in space as well, and being able to use weapons to get to that kind of point. So that's the general concept. I would have to write it all down and generally kind of like get a good idea of where I would want it to go. I have a more clearer vision, because the whole basis is like humanity is going through an arms war of AI. Think of like today, right? A whole idea of like humanity, all these different countries, all these different corporations are building AIs to compete against each other. And the AIs are basically being told, you need to be as good and as efficient as possible at your objectives, to the point where the AI doesn't instantly starts to think, well, I need more power. I need more power. I need to be able to gain more power and build and build and build and build, to the point where the AI is going, well, space and the sun isn't enough, so I'm going to now try and find a way to suck power out of something else, which is where the concept of dark matter comes in, and the concept of basically going into what I would refer to as the void, which would be like, that's where I was actually going to use the actual things here. It's like, think of this as like our universe, our reality, right? And there's all these different realities that kind of like bridge everything together, but what's in between them is the void. And so what the AI is trying to do is the AI is trying to, basically the AI is in this world, in this universe, and the AI is going, hey, I need more power. I need as much power as humanly possible, so I'm going to try and punch a hole through into the dark matter and siphon power out of the void to bring into there, so that I can then grow and build and continue expanding. But what ends up happening is the void ends up leaking through and ends up corrupting the AI, and that's where it starts the whole conflict of interest of corrupting humans, corrupting animals, corrupting AI, corrupting machines, like corrupting everything in general. And then it corrupts it with the objective, wipe out humanity at any objective, and then that's where you have the whole faction between good AI and bad AI. And if I wanted to expand the idea, you could look at the idea of like alternate realities, but I wanted to kind of keep the story simple. But it's like that whole idea of the multiverse, but it wants to punch a hole into the multiverse and siphon power out of it. And basically what it's siphoning is power, but it's also drawing out what's stuck, right, in the void itself. So it's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, it's siphoning out all the power, but there's all this void and shit going on in there that's coming through and trying to kill humanity. I'm not recapping this. This is just a story that I wanted to do for a game that I wanted to make at some point. But it's a general concept of it. The main principle of it is the idea of like AI's gone rogue, but the idea of an AI that's trying to save humanity and an AI that's hell-bent on destroying AI. Think of like Terminator, right? Think of like Terminator, but with AIs, and think of like two Terminator factions. One to protect humanity, one to kill humanity. But the AI itself is trying to push humanity down a path that maybe isn't for the best to try and protect itself. So the void is like the bleed in DC, a space between realities that helps travel between yeah, in a sense. But the way I see the void is being like, it's an energy source that's like infinite in scale. So the AI thinks, well, this is the best place to draw power from. But the downside about it is because it's siphoning power through it, it's also drawing out all the bad stuff that's hiding in the void, which would be all the corruption and the dark matter and all that kind of thing. I think of like void monster kind of thing. But then there's also the fact that you could try and punch her through and get into another reality as well, which is where you could explore the whole idea of, if they were to punch her through, could something else come through from that reality that could then help you? how did I come up with this? I really like the idea of a sci-fi post-apocalyptic story, and I kind of looked at like Stellar Blade and Nikke as a story because they're very similar in that they look at like a post-apocalyptic world where they're trying to fight against something that they created. Because Stellar Blade's story is kind of built on the whole idea of that an AI has gone rogue and it's kind of just destroying humanity kind of thing. But I like the idea of having like an AI that's trying to protect humanity and an AI that's trying to destroy humanity, and then people in between in different factions and groups. But there's sort of like the dilemma of like, imagine two AIs trying to compete and of an objective, one to destroy and one to protect. And it's like an immovable object and an unstoppable force. But what would that AI do to humanity to protect it? How far would it go to protect it, to the point would it then basically eradicate what makes it human just to protect it, right? Because it's like, what makes you human? If you kept adding cybernetics to your body, let's say you replaced your arm, you replaced an eye, you put a chip in your brain, you replaced a leg, to what point do you change your body until you even are the same person? And that the AI that's trying to protect humanity tries to not just use cybernetics, but also uses genetics to warp humans into the most optimal killing machine to protect itself from another AI that is trying to corrupt and destroy anything, to warp it into a machine to kill them as well. It's the general idea. I could iron out the story if I thought about it more and wrote it all down and kind of like put it all pieces of the puzzle. I'd probably mold it and twist it and make it all fit together, because I also like the idea of having like space kind of stuff as well with it, like the whole idea of like an orbital space station and orbital like ring worlds, and kind of having really cool sci-fi technology with it as well. In my mind, the factions would be part of the narrative of the story, where you could find factions and you try and get them to help you to fight against the main threat. Start a Kickstarter. I wouldn't even know where to start to make the game. That's the problem. I'd need to know how to make a game first to be able to consider where I go from there. Because if I can then work out how to make the game myself, then I would be able to start building the game. And then I just look for artists and people that do music and other stuff like that to try and build it out. I wouldn't start a GoFundMe unless I had a very clear objective of how I would go about making it and how I would go about implementing it. It's very heavily inspired on the idea of like Stellar Blade and Nikke, but trying to take it in a very different direction. But also having a Fire Emblem style mechanics with an open world exploration, while having a gotcha. If I was to add a gotcha mechanic in it, if I did, it would be purely for fun purposes and non-monetary. But I mean, it's something that I could probably like maybe write it out on like a Google Doc or something like that. Google Doc! Or write down some notes and stuff and build like the ideas of what I would do. Because you'd have to make sure you iron out any kinks and stuff like that. Like, okay, how does the AI make the waifus, right? Like, what is their objective? There is also another part to that story that I actually have in my brain that's really cringy but kind of silly but funny when it comes to the waifu part. Because the concept of the story that I had is that the void corrupts, right? Because the AIs punch it a hole through the void to get power, the void seeps through and the void corrupts the AI, but it also corrupts any form of living and like physical matter, right? It corrupts machines, it corrupts AI, it corrupts code, it corrupts living organisms, but it corrupts humans. And so what the idea that I had is that the reason why they create these biological weaponized women, which would be like Nikke's in a sense, is because the void ends up corrupting the human part, which destroys the reproductive components of the humans. So humans aren't able to have children anymore because the void corrupts them and makes them infertile. And so what they do is they turn the women into robotic war machines because they want to build them a body that can then cleanse the corruption in themselves But men can't become that because, well, the body can't recreate sperm. They can create all the rest of the parts for a woman, but the men can't be made into the actual war machines because of that. So the mechanical women can only have sex with men that aren't corrupted by the void, which is a very low percentage. And so they're looking for a cure through medical means. And there are only certain people that have that ability to resist the void from a biological standpoint. So that's where you kind of get like the commander idea. That was a part of the story that I was thinking of adding, but I was like, is that too cringy to have? Is that too cringy? Will there be a looting system as well? Upgrade. Oh, I'd have like upgrade systems, like leveling would naturally, because Fire Emblem has leveling. I'd like to have some type of like gear system that makes them stronger and all that, and upgrade progressions. That'd be like any normal game. You want to have a good progression system. But as far as a looting system goes, it would all have to depend, right? How I would go about that. Will this be hentai? I mean, we can make it into hentai. I think that's the greatest explanation for a waifu character I've ever heard of. The reason why, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to make a waifu simulator where every character, every like playable character is a chick and she's just a mechanical like sex robot, it's like, okay, well, you have to explain it. It's like, okay, well, the humans learned how to create the reproductive organs of the women, but they weren't able to do it with men because they weren't able to recreate the sperm from a man. So they weren't able to turn the men, well, they didn't have a reason to turn the men into war machines because, well, what's the point? You're already corrupted. Who cares? So they turn the women into it because it can cleanse themselves, right? So then they turn them into them, and they're basically just living war machines that can produce babies, but the men can't really be turned into it. So then it's like, okay, what's the purpose of the men? But it's like some of the men have developed an immunity by potluck, right? It's a cringy part to the story, but it's like it's potluck. Some of the men have just developed an immunity, and thus those become the commanders, and those are meant to be the destined men to sleep with all the waifus. It's like, if you're going to go with a cheesy plotline, but at least make it explainable. That's how I imagine it. It's like, okay, if you're going to have a commander character, at least make it a reason why all the chicks want to sleep with him. Because he's one of the only rare specimens that can produce sperm that isn't corrupted by the void. Bada boom, bada boom. Do we have immunity? I mean, the player has the immunity. But it's rare amongst the men. The women can't have the immunity, so they got turned into the war machines. River. It's not too cringe. You have another faction use it as an excuse to attack them. Well, that's the thing, like, right, you can have like different types of factions, those that hate AI, that will go against anything AI and anything machinery. But then you also have the whole idea of the purities. You can have those that are pure, that have worked out, like they've found some way of staying pure. And that's where you can have a story in there where you can, part of the story is looking for a way to protect yourself against the void. And somewhere on the earth, there is a way to find a proper cure that every male can have, and generally, hopefully, every female, they hope, to give a cure to the void corruption that removes the infertility. But it's mainly they're looking at for the men because, well, they've found a way for women to have children. They just turn them into sex robots, war machine sex robots. So then you have that whole concept of like they're looking for it. They're trying to discover that cure while the AI is also trying to find it to destroy it so that it can then finally rid humanity because it's slowly winning that war. Add lollies so we can have a barrier. Oh yeah, we have to have lollies as the ultimate gatekeep. But when I came up with that idea, because I was like, okay, if you're going to have like war machine robot women, it's like, okay, what's the reasoning behind it? For me, I at least want to make a story that actually makes sense. And I was like, okay, well, what if the void corrupts the infertility of men and women, and making the women into the robots because their womb will remove any of the impurities, but it means that any man that is corrupted by the void cannot have children because it's corrupted their infertility, so you've got to find men that aren't also corrupted. So it's like you've got to have the robotic sex robot women with the men that aren't corrupted by the void, bring them together, fight for humanity, and thus you'd have all the other components of the story. So yeah, I mean, you'd have an AI worshipping faction as well. Like, naturally, you'd look at all the different elements of, like, different types of people that hate the idea of AIs, those that worship AIs, those that, you know, naturally the AI that's trying to destroy all humanity. And there'd be different types of AIs, like small AIs that are just trying to survive, some that are helpful, some not so helpful. There'd be different forms of it, right? But there'd also just be different factions of different people out there as well. So it'd be something you'd delve into. But it was a story that I thought about over the several years, because when I looked at the Stellar Blade story, I really loved the concept of Stellar Blade. I love the concept of, like, what makes humanity, like, where do you go to a point in a story, where do you go to a point in humanity where you're no longer human, right? Do you, like I said, you replace a leg, an arm, an eye, a brain in the chip, you know, a heart, an organ. Where do you stop being human as you slowly start replacing them? But also from a biology standpoint and a human evolution, the mutation, right? How far is the AI willing to go to protect humanity? Is it willing to completely warp and change what humans are? And that's where you would have that different layer of, like, just like mechanical warrior robot chicks and then normal humans, but then you could potentially see humans that are completely warped and mutated into something completely different due to the mutation of either the void or trying to find a cure to the void. But then also the whole concept of, well, what happens if you went too far robotically? What if you just made like Cyberman? So there'd be different concepts. I don't know if I'd delve into all of those different concepts, but there'd be some of them that I would delve into. Because you don't want to over-convolute the story, right? You don't want to over-complicate it. You want to keep it interesting, in depth, but not overly complicated and overly convoluted. Because then at that point, there's too much for you to kind of digest. So you want to keep it simple, but interesting. But you can add layers to the story as the story goes on. A 2030 indie game. Like I said, I've been debating this idea for a couple of years. It's just every time I think about it, I don't know where to go to really build it. And a lot of the, like, some of the simple game engines, they're not very good. Like, a lot of them are like template, like the Fire Emblem one that they have. All you can do is make a Fire Emblem style game with it. I want to actually have a Fire Emblem style game that has shields, armor, like elemental different types of resistances, and it be based on like guns, right? You want to have guns, rocket launchers, snipers, those kinds of things, right? I don't want it to be swords and shields and magic. I want it to be shields, armor, guns, those kinds of things, like, you know, like what we would look at with something like Stellar Blade or Nikke kind of combat. You could have blades and all that kind of stuff for close combat, but I don't want it to be like a Fire Emblem style fantasy world. I want it to be like realistic, not realistic necessarily, but like sci-fi mechanic kind of things. So you want to take like the Fire Emblem foundation of a tactical turn-based game, like a chess game kind of thing, but add in the modern sci-fi kind of element to it, while having the ability, while you're moving from story to story or map to map, you move around in a big world as well, and having a bit more of an open world. Like, as you're doing the story, you can do side components as well. Like, you can go do side stories that are kind of like, yeah, different factions and stuff. Like, I would have a linear story, but then I would also have, as you're going through that linear story, you would have side stories that you can delve into, and it helps well build and kind of add to it. That's how I would do it. Like, I've thought about it quite a lot, but it's just the issue of finding a software that I can use to make the game, and then the rest will all fall in place, because it's not a complicated game that I would make. There's like basic layers to it. It's a very simplistic game in the sense of that it's just a Fire Emblem style mechanics with some interesting like character progression systems that are more modern for what I would want for that game, and then having a more open world exploration type system, right, that you kind of walk around, not like 3D like body movement, but it would be like, I would say, like, yeah, you would look at something like Octopath Traveler, You could even look at like Nikke, how they move around the map kind of thing in those different chapter maps. You could look at something like that. But it's like, okay, you hit a map section and then you do that part of the story. But if you want to, you could go somewhere else and do other things. Like there might be a side story, or there might be something that you need to do before you do the main story that could get you something that could help you do the main story. You could also try RPG Maker. Yeah, I had thought about that. I do have RPG Maker as well. But yeah, it's something I'd like to do. And I mean, I don't mind putting in the time and the effort to learn how to make a game, the software, like the coding and all that. I don't mind having to do that. It's just knowing where to go, where to start. Godot or Unity would let you make it. Okay. I might have to look into Godot or Unity for it. But it is something that I've wanted to do for a while. Because like getting the art and the music done is a secondary thing. It's like getting the foundation of the gameplay done is the main important thing. And like I said, it's really only two simple layers to it. The exploration component and the gameplay mechanic. And then naturally you'd have the character progression kind of system built into that. If I wanted to add anything extra afterwards, that would be an afterthought when it comes to things like cosmetics and maybe base building and kind of stuff like that. That's an afterthought. That's something you can add later on if I get to a point where I feel comfortable with what I'm kind of making. The main thing, the main execution needs to be those two layers of the systems and then just making sure the story is good. And I remember someone asking, would it be like a visual novel? I feel like the story element would be very visual novel-ish, right? You'd see the characters and they'd be talking and having conversations and stuff like that, and you'd be able to do world building and explore the world and everything like that. Like the music kind of thing, I could just, again, like I said, look for someone that really fits that kind of category. But that's where I would probably then, if I can build the game, build the story myself, then I could go like do a GoFundMe or some type of fundraising to then find the artist to fill in those gaps, and then find someone to do the music to fill in those gaps, and then everything could kind of fall together. And maybe if I need to help someone do more of the programming or building the game, and just kind of like help, follow the vision of what I want to build. Because again, I wouldn't be scared of making a controversial game with cringy mechanics or silly, like what I refer to as cringy storytelling. A lot of people are saying it isn't cringe, right? Like the whole mechanical sex warrior robots and the infertility kind of component to the story, right? That's, I just feel like having a fun story, right? It's not about making it really realistic. It's more about having something fun. Like, yeah, we're going to have waifu simulators. Let's go crazy. Let's just have lots of hot waifu stuff, right? But let's like at least make a story that makes sense to a point. It doesn't need to be super believable, and it doesn't need to be to the point where it's so grounded and all that. It can be silly and cringy, but it can be fun. This is why I believe in working class ownership of entertainment industry. I'm thinking about a school taught by experts in the industry across the world with all the money in the recent. I hope it goes well. But yeah, I mean, that's the idea that I had for the story and the game mechanics. It's been on the back of my mind for quite a while, but I've just never really gone beyond sort of like, I've looked at some software, I've played around with some software. I thought about maybe trying to find someone that understands building games and maybe getting some advice from them, be like, hey, what software do I use? What tools can I use to help build this game, and maybe get some advice from them, and have someone to constantly have, in an ear that I could go to and be like, hey, get that advice. Because I'd love to build it as just a pet project. And I'd love to just make it really big, really grand, have this really big epic story and have lots of cool characters and big world building kind of style story. And then as I want to add more layers to it as time goes on. But I want to get the foundations, right? I don't want to aim too ambitious and not be able to deliver. I want to deliver on the basics first. And then once I'm happy with the basics and the foundations, then build the blocks up. I don't want to go overboard and be like, I'm going to promise the world, like, Ashes of Creation, offer all these different systems and then not deliver on it. I just want to be able to build the basics of what I want to deliver, but still have room for more later in my mind. And then once I deliver that, then build on it. Because then I know what I'm doing, then I know how to build it. I can then use that knowledge and skill set to continue. So that's where I kind of want to go with it. Will I be successful? I don't know. I'd like to, but I'd have to do a lot more research into it. Maybe one day. I like Cringe Bandit, like it's not cheating if it's with an AI. But yeah, I thought I'd seen as some people were asking about it because I was talking about, games and stories and stuff. I thought I'd explain that before I end stream because I'm hitting 4 a.m. The cat is getting upset at me. I can hear her out there. Will there be a marriage system? I mean, maybe we could look at like a dating marriage system in it. But again, like I said, foundations. Got to work on the foundations. Right? Let's get, like, if I was to do the game, let's get the foundations, let's build that on, and then as we add the characters and all that kind of stuff, then we can look at other things, like doing more interactive things with the characters, right? Like maybe support conversations, building bond levels, relationship type of stuff. Like you could do that kind of stuff later on, but it's all about building that foundation. Then you can add all the fun stuff afterwards. The world is your oyster after that point. So... But yeah, I will end stream because it has been almost 3 hours. It is 4 a.m. and it is late for me. I am just checking some things. It's actually, speaking of Stellar Blade, I just saw a video recommended on my panel from Cine. I'm trying to say the word right for her, because I'll be doing we have worked out the date. For those that don't know, Words of Paradise and me will be doing, and Cine as well, of course, will be doing a collaboration in the coming week and a bit. So I'll be on their channel in a week and a bit for a collaboration at some point. So I was just trying to remember how to pronounce her name correctly, because I am terrible with names. Mainly because, one, my accent and my way I pronounce things, but also the fact that I'm partially dyslexic and I have a language disorder. So pronouncing words is a difficult challenge for me to pronounce things just because, of my language disorder. That's why I don't really like the idea of writing a book, because I suck at English, so... but yeah. Maybe I might write down the story itself and maybe picture. What I might do is I might write down the story, get Grok to fix some of the grammar and spelling up, and then I might make a special channel in the Patreon Discord server and outline what the story would be and what the game would be if I ever made it, and use that as just kind of like a cliff note of what I would do. And maybe I could try and do some research into building that game. But again, it's like trying to find someone that can help guide me through it, finding the right software, working out how to do it all and build it all and all that kind of stuff, where to even start. I have no idea. Right? I've got the passion, the idea, but it's finding the right tools and being able to get in the right direction, which maybe if the content creator sees this, the right kind of content creator that deals in that area, maybe they might find me and go, hey, that's the right direction, and they guide me in it, and I go build it. Because I'm not interested in making some multi-billion-dollar corporation game that's going to siphon thousands of dollars out of people just to be able to summon some waifus. I just want to build a really good game. Sure, maybe make some money, a little bit of money on the side to help fund it, right? Get the art, get the music, get all that kind of stuff done. But I'm not interested in, making billions of dollars or even millions of dollars. I just want to make something. It's more of a passion project. If I make a little bit of money on the side, right? Sure, it's all right to make some money on the side, but it's more about the passion than anything else. So, again, thank you for dropping by on the stream. I'll think about it some more. I might write down some notes. So, yeah. Any and all thoughts on that is appreciated in the comments.